Lyra shivered as the cold wind whipped across the jagged cliffs. Tiny as she was, the storm felt enormous. Dark clouds churned overhead and lightning split the sky in sharp white cracks. She clutched her small satchel tightly against her chest. The weight light but the responsibility heavy. Inside were herbs, a few dried roots, and a small bottle of liquid, all meant to save her mother. Her mother's illness had come suddenly, leaving Lyra alone to find help. She was only 8, but she had already learned that sometimes age didn't matter. Courage and determination did. Her small feet splashed through puddles on the rocky path as she approached the first door. It was large and made of black metal, etched with strange symbols that glowed faintly. She raised her hand and knocked softly, hoping not to scare anyone. The door opened a crack and a tall, sharp-eyed alien looked down at her. Its skin shimmered with green and gold and its eyes reflected suspicion. "What do you want, little one?" the alien asked, voice like gravel. "My mother is very sick," Lyra said, her voice trembling. "I have herbs that might help her, but I need advice. Can you help me?" The alien frowned and shook its head. "We do not give aid to outsiders. Go away." Lyra's heart sank, but she bowed respectfully. "Thank you for listening," she said softly, stepping back into the rain. She wiped tears from her face and moved on. The first door had closed, cold and final, but she did not stop. Each step was heavier than the last, and the storm seemed determined to slow her down. By the time she reached the second door, her shoes were soaked, and her small hands were raw from gripping her satchel. This door was round, made of deep blue metal, and a soft glow pulsed from its edges. Lyra knocked lightly, then waited. The alien who appeared was smaller than the first, but had sharp claws and a wary gaze. It studied her for a long moment before speaking. "Why should I help you? Why should we care about a human child?" Lyra swallowed her fear. "Because my mother is very sick. She is all I have, please. Any advice or help would mean everything to me." The alien's eyes narrowed. "We have our own problems. Go away." The door shut in her face, and the sound echoed like a judge's gavel in her ears. She sat down on a wet rock for a moment, catching her breath. The rain drenched her. The cold seeped into her bones, and doubt crept into her mind. Maybe she had made a mistake. Maybe no one could help. But she remembered her mother's smile, the gentle way she had tucked Lyra in at night, the soft voice that whispered, "Be brave, my little one." That memory gave her strength. She stood, wiped the water from her face, and walked to the third door. The journey was growing more difficult. Storms like these were rare, even on this rough planet, and creatures stirred in the shadows. Strange shapes moved in the forest near the path, glowing eyes watching her. She heard footsteps behind her and froze. A small, furry alien creature scuttled past, sniffing the air. Lyra held her satchel tight and whispered, "Please, just let me pass." At the third door, Lyra knocked again, a little harder this time. The alien who opened it had silver skin and wings folded neatly on its back. Its eyes glimmered like tiny suns. "You again," it said, voice sharp. "Why should I help?" "What do you offer in return?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't have anything to give. I only want to help my mother." The alien's expression hardened. "Then you are foolish. Go away before you bring misfortune." Lyra nodded and left without another word. She didn't cry. She had learned that tears did not solve problems, they only slowed her down. Her small legs carried her through puddles and mud, each step a quiet defiance against the cold, the storm, and the rejection she faced at every door. Door 4 was made of a material she had never seen before. It shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting her small figure in strange distortions. Lyra knocked, her knuckles raw from knocking 17 times already, even if she had not yet reached 17 doors. The alien that appeared was tall and thin, with elongated fingers and a face that looked almost human yet not. Its eyes were black pools of judgment. "Another visitor?" it asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "Please, my mother is sick. Can you help me?" The alien studied her carefully. "Why would we help someone like you?" "We help our own first, I understand," Lyra whispered. "But my mother is very ill. I promise I mean no harm." The alien shook its head. "Then go." The door closed and Lyra sighed, feeling the weight of disappointment pressing down like the storm itself. The path ahead seemed endless. She counted each door she had visited. 4 down, 13 more to go. The thought made her dizzy, but she pressed on. By the time she reached the 5th door, the storm had grown fiercer. Thunder shook the cliffs and lightning danced across the mountains. Lyra stumbled and fell into the mud, but she scrambled up immediately. She couldn't stop now. Her mother's life depended on her. The fifth alien was small, with scales covering its arms and neck. Its mouth opened to speak, but when it saw her soaked, trembling form, it snorted in disdain. "You expect me to help a child?" it said. "Yes," Lyra said. "Please, just advice." "I don't need much, only a way to help my mother survive." The alien laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Survive? Perhaps that is not meant to be. Perhaps you are too late." Lyra's heart ached, but she bowed and left quietly. She whispered, "I will not give up." Doors 6 through 10 passed in a blur of rain and rejection. Each alien refused her, some with words, some with gestures, some with complete silence. Each refusal hurt, but each also strengthened her resolve. Lyra learned to move faster, knock more carefully, speak more clearly, and never let her fear show. By door 11, she was covered in mud and water. Her satchel hung low and her hands were numb, but she refused to stop. She knocked and told her story once more. The alien inside listened, its eyes narrowing. "You are persistent," it said finally. "But persistence will not save her. Go." Lyra bowed as she always did and left. She had learned that respect mattered even in rejection. Anger would have slowed her down. Patience carried her forward. Door 12 was guarded by an alien with armor-like skin, tough and ridged. It stared at her with suspicion. "Why do you keep coming?" it demanded. "I must help my mother," Lyra said. "I have tried many times, and I am not stopping now. Please. Any advice, any help, anything at all?" The alien shook its head. "You are too small. Go back before the storm takes you." Lyra nodded. She had learned that strength did not always mean being big. It sometimes meant walking through rain and fear without stopping, small but unbroken. The 13th door gave her a brief moment of hope. A soft-eyed alien opened it, listening to her story with visible sympathy. It said, "I am sorry, but I cannot help. My duty is to my own people." Lyra smiled faintly, bowing again. She thanked it for listening. Listening was kindness, even if help was impossible. Doors 14, 15, and 16 were worse. Some aliens shouted at her. Some slammed the doors before she could speak. One even threw a small object in her direction, though it missed. Still, Lyra did not cry. She had learned the power of endurance. She had learned that hope could survive even the harshest storms. The 17th door loomed ahead. Its frame was huge, towering over Lyra. She raised her hand and knocked, trembling from exhaustion. A deep, gruff voice answered, "Who dares disturb me?" Lyra's small voice answered, clear despite the cold and fear. "Please. My mother is sick. I need help. I only want to save her life." The door opened slightly. The alien peered at her and then shut it abruptly. Lyra sighed. Another rejection. Another door closed. Another lesson learned, and yet something stirred within her. Beyond the 17th door, past the storm, past the mountains, there was still one more chance. One more door. One more possibility. Her small heart beat fast with cautious hope. She took a deep breath, wiped the rain from her face, and continued walking. The 18th door waited. Lyra's small legs ached and her body trembled from the cold, but she did not stop. She had come too far to turn back now. The storm had started to ease slightly, though gray clouds still churned in the sky and the wind whistled through the cliffs. Her heart beat faster as she approached the 18th door. It looked different from all the others. It was made of sturdy metal but painted a soft white with a small window at eye level. It seemed welcoming almost. Lyra hesitated for a moment, gathering her courage. She knocked softly at first, then louder, afraid the storm might drown out her small voice. The door swung open, and a human man appeared. He was tall, with broad shoulders, wearing a simple jacket and boots that had clearly seen many storms. His dark hair was damp from the rain, and his face carried a mixture of surprise and curiosity. The man looked down at Lyra, noticing her soaked clothes and the small satchel clutched tightly to her chest. "Hello," he said in a calm, friendly voice. "Are you all right? Do you need help?" Lyra's eyes widened. She had never heard a voice so kind. My mother is sick," she stammered. "I have herbs and remedies, but I don't know how to use them. I tried asking other aliens, but none would help me. Please, can you help?" The man's eyes softened. He knelt down so that he was closer to her small frame. "Come inside," he said. "It's too dangerous out here for someone like you." Lyra's heart leapt with relief. She had never expected kindness like this. She followed him inside, shivering as warmth and light greeted her. The human's home was simple but cozy, with soft blankets, shelves filled with books, and a small fire burning in a hearth. The scent of clean water and herbs filled the air, and Lyra felt safe for the first time in hours. "Sit down," the man said gently. "I'm Elias. What's your name?" "Lyra," she whispered, sinking onto a small stool near the fire. "Lyra, my mother." She trailed off, too exhausted to continue. Elias nodded. "I understand. Tell me everything." Slowly, Lyra carefully emptied her satchel, showing the dried roots, small vials, and leaves she had collected. She explained her mother's illness and how the other aliens had refused her. Elias listened quietly, asking questions when he needed clarification. He did not mock her, he did not judge, and he did not dismiss her story. Instead, he examined the herbs and remedies with interest, nodding thoughtfully. "These are good," he said finally. "I know how to prepare them so they will help your mother. But we need to gather a few more things. Some fresh herbs from the northern cliffs and a few special leaves from the glowing forest. It won't be easy, but I can help you get them." Lyra's eyes sparkled with hope. You will help me?" she asked, barely able to believe it. Elias smiled warmly. "Of course. No one should face danger alone, especially a child trying to save someone she loves." The next morning the storm had passed. The sky was still gray, but the rain had stopped, leaving mist curling around the cliffs and valleys. Elias and Lyra prepared for the journey. He gave her a small backpack with extra supplies, tied her satchel securely, and lent her a small walking stick. Then he picked up a satchel of his own and motioned for her to follow. The path to the northern cliffs was dangerous. Loose rocks and slippery slopes made every step a challenge. Lyra held tightly to her walking stick, following Elias carefully. He pointed out safe spots to step and warned her about sharp rocks and sudden drops. "You are very brave," he said as they climbed a particularly steep ridge. "Most children wouldn't attempt this journey alone." Lyra nodded, panting from the climb. "I have to save my mother," she said simply. "I can't stop." Elias glanced at her with admiration. "I see that. Courage like yours is rare. It makes me proud to help you." As they climbed higher, the glowing forest appeared below them. Strange plants pulsed with soft light, illuminating the misty valley. The forest was alive with movement. Small glowing insects flitted between branches, and creatures with bright eyes watched silently from the shadows. "Those are called lumina plants," Elias explained. "The leaves you need are at the base of the tallest trees. They glow for a reason. They store energy and nutrients that can heal." Lyra's eyes widened. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Will they really help my mother?" she asked. Elias nodded. "Yes. If we gather them carefully, we can make a strong healing mix. But we must be careful. The forest is home to creatures that do not like visitors." They stepped into the forest carefully, moving slowly so as not to disturb the glowing creatures. Lyra reached out to touch a leaf, marveling at its soft, warm glow. Elias helped her gather enough for the remedy, showing her how to pick them without damaging the trees. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the forest floor. Lyra froze. A creature larger than any she had seen before approached. It had long limbs, silver scales, and eyes that reflected the glowing light of the plants. Lyra's heart raced, but Elias stepped in front of her. "Stay calm," he whispered. "It won't attack if we don't threaten it." The creature sniffed the air and then moved along, uninterested in them. Lyra exhaled slowly, relief flooding through her. "Thank you," she whispered. Elias smiled. "This is why we work together. Alone, it would have been harder. Together, we can face anything." They gathered the final herbs and began the journey back. The path was tricky and they had to cross a small river. Elias lifted Lyra onto his back to help her cross the slippery stones. She clung tightly, her trust in him growing with every step. By the time they reached the 18th settlement again, the sun was beginning to set. Elias helped Lyra prepare the herbs for her mother, grinding leaves and mixing them carefully with the dried roots she had brought. The mixture smelled strong but fresh, and Lyra felt a flicker of hope. "Now we take this to your mother," Elias said. "She will be stronger after this." Lyra nodded, her small hands shaking with excitement. They hurried back to her home, where the alien village watched silently from the shadows. The other aliens had never seen a human help an outsider like this, and curiosity flickered in their eyes. Lyra's mother lay on a simple bed, her face pale and weak. When Lyra approached with the mixture, her mother's eyes fluttered open. "Lyra, my little one, what have you done?" she whispered. "I found help," Lyra said softly. "A human helped me. He showed me how to prepare the remedy. Please, drink it." Her mother sipped the mixture carefully. Elias watched quietly, his presence calm and reassuring. Slowly, her color began to return. Her breathing steadied and her eyes focused more clearly on her daughter. You saved me," her mother whispered, tears filling her eyes. How did you find help?" Lyra smiled. "I never gave up," she said simply. "And a human named Elias helped me. He didn't judge me. He didn't turn me away. He just helped." Elias smiled, brushing wet hair from his face. "It was your courage that brought us here. I only helped guide the way." The villagers watched silently, astonished. Some shook their heads, unable to understand why a human would help, but others whispered to each other, curiosity mixing with admiration. Perhaps humans were different. Perhaps they could teach lessons about kindness, courage, and hope. Lyra's mother pulled her close, holding her tightly. "You are my brave little girl," she said. "And this human, he is a friend. We owe him our lives." Lyra looked at Elias and smiled. "Yes, a friend," she said softly. "A human friend." That night, as the wind died down and the clouds slowly parted to reveal faint stars, Lyra sat by the fire with Elias. She felt safe, happy, and full of hope. The journey had been long and dangerous, but it had shown her that kindness could exist even in the darkest storms. It had shown her that courage and determination could change lives, not just for her mother, but for everyone around her. Elias watched her quietly, feeling a deep respect for the small alien girl who had faced so much and never given up. "You have a strong heart," he said. "Never forget that. One day you will do even greater things than this." Lyra nodded, feeling the warmth of the fire and the human's kindness surround her. She had knocked on 17 doors and been turned away. But the 18th door had opened, and it had changed everything. And as she drifted off to sleep that night, she dreamed not of storms or rejection, but of hope, friendship, and a world where courage and kindness could make even the impossible possible. The next morning, Lyra and Elias set out before the sun fully rose. The air was crisp, and the mist from the previous storm clung to the cliffs and valleys, making the world look like a silver dream. Lyra adjusted her small backpack and tightened the straps of her satchel. She had collected the first batch of herbs, but Elias had told her they needed fresh ingredients from the high northern cliffs and the glowing forest beyond. The journey would be dangerous, but Lyra's determination burned brighter than ever. As they walked, Elias explained the path ahead. "The northern cliffs are steep," he said, pointing to jagged rocks glowing faintly in the early light. "We will have to climb carefully. The rocks are slippery, and one wrong step could send us tumbling. But I know a safe path. Follow me closely." Lyra nodded, gripping her walking stick tightly. Her small legs struggled at first on the incline, but Elias adjusted his pace to match hers. Step by step, handhold by handhold, they climbed. The wind blew sharply against them, threatening to knock them off balance, but Elias's strong presence gave Lyra courage. Whenever she stumbled, he steadied her with a gentle hand. Halfway up the cliffs, they stopped to rest on a narrow ledge. Below, the forest stretched endlessly, glowing faintly as if it held thousands of tiny stars within its leaves. Lyra's eyes widened in awe. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Elias smiled. "It is, but beauty can be dangerous. We must stay alert." Lyra nodded solemnly. Her excitement was tempered by the knowledge that danger could appear at any moment. As they resumed climbing, a sudden noise echoed from above, a loud crack of stone. A small rockslide tumbled down and Lyra froze, her heart pounding. "Move to the side," Elias shouted, grabbing her hand and pulling her to safety. They crouched behind a large boulder as stones clattered past. Lyra's hands shook, but she took a deep breath. I'm okay," she said. Elias nodded. "Good, you stayed calm. That's important." After the rockslide, the climb became even steeper. They reached a narrow ridge, and below them, the valley stretched into darkness. The wind howled, and the clouds above began to swirl again, threatening another storm. Lyra's small frame trembled, but Elias's steady presence kept her focused. "Almost there," he said. "Just a little further." Finally, they reached the northern cliff's peak. The fresh herbs grew in small clusters among the rocks, glowing faintly in the dim light. Lyra knelt down carefully, gathering them with reverent hands. She marveled at their colors, bright and warm against the gray rocks. Suddenly, a low growl echoed across the cliffs. Lyra froze, her heart racing. A creature emerged from the rocks, a large four-legged predator with shining eyes and sharp teeth glinting in the dim light. It had sleek black fur and moved with deadly grace. "Stay behind me," Elias whispered, placing himself between Lyra and the creature. The creature prowled closer, its eyes locked on them. Lyra's small hands clutched her satchel tightly, and she felt fear like she had never known before. But Elias remained calm. He scanned the rocks for something to defend them with. Finding a sturdy branch, he picked it up, holding it firmly. "Don't make sudden moves," he said to Lyra. "It will attack if it feels threatened. We need to show we are cautious but strong." The creature paused, sniffing the air, then let out a low growl. Elias slowly lifted the branch and waved it gently, making himself look larger and more confident. Lyra mirrored him, holding her walking stick carefully in front of her. The creature hesitated, unsure of what to do. After a tense moment, it backed away slowly, disappearing into the shadows of the cliffs. Lyra exhaled, relief washing over her. "Thank you," she whispered. Elias nodded. "Courage isn't the absence of fear," he said. "It's acting even when you're afraid. You did well." With the predator gone, they carefully gathered the remaining herbs. Lyra noticed a small patch of glowing leaves hidden behind a rock. "These are the ones you mentioned," she said, pointing. Elias smiled. "Perfect. That's exactly what we need." They packed the herbs carefully and began their descent toward the glowing forest. The forest stretched below them like a living carpet of light, filled with strange creatures and glowing plants. Elias warned Lyra to stay close and not to touch anything they didn't recognize. As they entered the forest, the glow of the plants lit their path. Small creatures with luminous wings flitted through the air, and soft rustling came from every direction. Lyra's eyes were wide with wonder, but she remembered Elias's warning. "Stay alert," he said quietly. They followed a narrow path lined with tall trees, their trunks glowing faintly with energy. Elias pointed to the base of the tallest trees. "The special leaves grow here. We need only a few carefully picked." Lyra knelt and began collecting the leaves, marveling at their soft, glowing texture. The forest hummed around them, alive with unseen energy. She felt a sense of awe and respect. This place was beautiful, but it demanded care and caution. Suddenly, a rustle came from the undergrowth. A creature darted out, a small four-legged animal with glowing eyes and sharp claws. It circled them, growling softly. Lyra's heart raced. "Stay calm," Elias said. "Do not make sudden movements." The creature approached, sniffed the ground near Lyra, and then paused. Elias slowly reached into his pack and took out a small piece of dried fruit. He tossed it gently toward the creature. It sniffed, then took it, and after a moment scampered away into the forest. Lyra breathed deeply, feeling her body relax. "You always know what to do," she said softly. Elias smiled. "I've learned that thinking ahead and staying calm is more important than strength. Even the smallest action can make a big difference." They gathered the final leaves and began heading back to the edge of the forest. The journey back was not easy. The paths were narrow, roots twisted underfoot, and the glow of the plants sometimes made it hard to see clearly. But Elias guided Lyra carefully, helping her step over obstacles and avoid dangerous spots. As they reached the cliffs again, the sun was setting. The sky was painted with deep oranges and purples, and the mist from the forest glowed faintly in the fading light. Lyra looked at Elias with gratitude. "We did it," she said, smiling. "Yes," Elias said, "and your courage made it possible. You faced danger, fear, and exhaustion, yet you never gave up. That's what matters most." Lyra felt warmth in her chest. She had learned something important. Bravery and determination could overcome almost anything, especially when someone kind and wise was by her side. She had also learned to trust, a lesson she had not experienced with the other aliens. Elias's kindness had shown her that humans could be strong, clever, and compassionate all at once. When they returned to her home, Lyra's mother was still weak but resting. Lyra carefully prepared the fresh herbs under Elias's guidance, mixing them with the dried roots from her satchel. The mixture glowed faintly and the aroma was strong but soothing. "Drink slowly," Elias said gently, handing the cup to Lyra's mother. "It will help her regain strength." Her mother sipped carefully, and within moments a faint color returned to her cheeks. She looked at Lyra with amazement. "My little one, you You brought help, she whispered. Lyra smiled. I did it, Mother. And Elias helped me. He showed me how to make the mixture and how to stay safe. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. You are brave, my child. And this human. He is a blessing. Elias smiled humbly. I only guided the way. The bravery came from Lyra. The villagers who had watched from a distance began murmuring among themselves. They had never seen a human help an alien, much less a small child who had faced so many dangers. Some of the aliens began to rethink their assumptions, realizing that courage, kindness, and intelligence could come from unexpected places. That night, as the stars twinkled faintly above the village, Lyra sat beside her mother, feeling a warmth she had never known. The journey had been long, exhausting, and dangerous, but it had shown her the power of persistence, trust, and human ingenuity. Elias stood nearby, keeping watch. He looked at Lyra with quiet admiration. You have a strong heart, he said. Remember that. You've done something remarkable today. Lyra nodded, feeling proud but humble. She had learned that help could come from anywhere, that courage could come in the smallest forms, and that humans could be friends who valued life and hope above all else. And as she closed her eyes that night, Lyra knew that the final part of her journey, the full recovery of her mother and the understanding of her village, was yet to come. But for the first time, she felt that anything was possible. The morning sun spilled golden light across the village. Lyra woke early, her small heart full of hope. Her mother had slept peacefully through the night, the fresh herbs working their magic. The air smelled clean and warm, and for the first time in many days, Lyra felt that relief was possible. She hurried to her mother's side. Mother, are you feeling better? She asked, her eyes shining. Her mother opened her eyes, the color returning to her cheeks. Yes, my little one, she said softly. You have brought me life. I can feel it. How did you find help? Lyra smiled, sitting close. I knocked on 17 doors, but no one helped. Then the 18th door opened. A human named Elias helped me. He guided me, protected me, and taught me how to use the herbs. Her mother's eyes widened in surprise and gratitude. A human. Helped us? She whispered. After all the doors that turned you away? Lyra nodded. Yes, he didn't hesitate. He didn't judge me. He just helped. The villagers had begun to gather outside, murmuring among themselves. Some still whispered about humans with suspicion, but many had seen the results. Lyra's mother was recovering. The mixture worked. Life had returned. Slowly, curiosity turned into admiration. The elders of the village stepped forward cautiously, their expressions a mixture of awe and uncertainty. One of them, an elder with silver eyes and long, ridged skin, spoke. We have never seen such courage. To face storms, wild creatures, and rejection, and still persist. Your bravery is remarkable, Lyra. Lyra bowed her small head. I only wanted to save my mother. That is all. The elder nodded slowly. And yet what you have done shows more than that. It shows hope, determination, and wisdom beyond your years. And this human who helped you. He glanced at Elias, who stood quietly at the edge of the crowd. He is worthy of respect. Elias stepped forward, feeling both honored and slightly uncomfortable under the attention. I only helped because it was the right thing to do, he said simply. The true courage belongs to Lyra. She faced every challenge without giving up. The villagers looked at each other, some nodding slowly. The stories they had told themselves for generations, that humans were unreliable or untrustworthy, began to seem incomplete. One by one, they realized that kindness, bravery, and intelligence were not limited by species. Lyra's mother sat up slowly, supported by Elias, and held her daughter's hands. You brought me back to life, she said. Not only through the herbs, but through your bravery and persistence. And this human. He showed me something I had never seen before. True compassion. Lyra smiled. We couldn't have done it without him, she said softly. For the first time, the villagers began to approach, cautiously at first, then with curiosity. Children peeked from behind their parents, watching Elias with wide eyes. He knelt down to greet them gently, letting them see that he meant no harm. One small alien child stepped forward, holding out a glowing leaf. Did you really help her? It asked. Elias smiled. Yes, and sometimes helping each other is the most important thing we can do. The lesson began to spread quietly but powerfully. The elders spoke to the villagers, explaining that courage, compassion, and cooperation were more valuable than fear or suspicion. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. Doors that had once remained closed might open in the future. Doors that had rejected kindness could begin to welcome it. Lyra had shown them that a small, determined heart could change more than just one life. It could inspire an entire community. Lyra's mother felt stronger with each passing hour. She could move more freely. Her color returned fully and her voice regained its warmth. She embraced Elias, tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You gave my daughter and me hope when all seemed lost." Elias shook his head. "No, Lyra gave the hope. I only helped her walk the path she had already chosen." Lyra's eyes sparkled with pride. "I didn't know humans could be so kind," she said softly. "I've learned something important. Courage, determination, and kindness can come from anyone, no matter how big or small, human or alien." Her mother nodded. "And sometimes it takes someone from outside to show us what we have been missing inside." The villagers began to discuss what had happened. Some admitted they had judged too quickly. Others admitted fear had blinded them. Slowly, the lesson of empathy, patience, and courage spread. Humans and aliens might live apart with different customs and appearances, but the essence of life, compassion, bravery, and cleverness was shared across all beings. Elias helped Lyra prepare a proper meal for her mother. He used simple ingredients, some from the forest and some from supplies he had brought. The aroma filled the small home, and Lyra's mother smiled as she tasted the first bite. Strength and energy returned quickly, and for the first time in many days, Lyra's mother laughed softly. The laughter drew the attention of the villagers. Slowly, more came near. Intrigued by the warmth and comfort emanating from the little house, the elder approached Elias again. "You have taught us a lesson," he said. "A human can choose to be brave, compassionate, and wise, and your actions show that sometimes kindness can change the world." Elias bowed slightly. "I am only one human," he said. "But if everyone helps one another, the world becomes a better place for all." Lyra's mother held her daughter close. "We are lucky, Lyra," she said. "You never gave up. And this human. He showed us that the world is bigger than fear and mistrust." Lyra smiled. "I have learned so much," she said softly. "I will never forget this. I will never stop being brave or kind, even if others turn me away. Courage is something we carry inside, not something others can give or take." Elias nodded approvingly. "Exactly. And by sharing what we learn, we make the world stronger. One act of kindness, one brave choice can ripple through many lives." Over the next few days, the villagers slowly became more open. They asked questions about Elias, wanting to understand humans better. Children followed him with curiosity, eager to learn. Lyra showed them the herbs, explaining how they could help the sick. Together, they began small experiments, trying new ways to gather and prepare the herbs. The once skeptical villagers began to change. They began to open their doors, literally and metaphorically, to ideas and actions they had once rejected. Lyra had shown them that courage and compassion could be found in unexpected forms, and Elias had shown them how helpful humans could be when guided by kindness and intelligence. One evening, as the sun set in soft pink and purple streaks across the sky, Lyra and Elias sat outside her home, watching the village slowly come to life around them. The glow of the forest in the distance reminded Lyra of the dangers she had faced and the lessons she had learned. "Do you think the village will change?" she asked quietly. Elias smiled. "Yes, they have seen something important. They have seen that courage, kindness, and intelligence matter more than fear or prejudice. It takes time, but your actions started that change." Lyra nodded. "I hope so. I want everyone to understand that helping each other is better than turning away. That even the smallest person can make a difference." Elias placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "And you have. You faced storms, danger, and rejection. You never gave up. You inspired everyone here, including me. Never forget that." Lyra's mother came outside, looking healthier than she had in weeks. She hugged her daughter and Elias. "You both saved me," she said softly. "And you showed us all what is possible when we trust and care for each other." The village was quiet for a moment, but a sense of calm and hope lingered in the air. The story of Lyra's bravery and Elias's guidance would be told for years to come. Other children would hear it and learn that courage comes in small forms, that help can come from anyone, and that kindness is stronger than fear. As night fell, the stars appeared above the village, bright and steady. Lyra sat with her mother and Elias, feeling warmth in her heart. The journey had been long, exhausting, and dangerous, but it had taught her lessons she would carry forever. She had learned that courage, determination, and kindness were powerful forces, forces that could change lives, communities, and even worlds. Lyra smiled. Looking at the twinkling lights of the village and the glow of the distant forest, she knew that the future would hold challenges, but she also knew she could face them. With bravery in her heart, wisdom in her mind, and kindness guiding her, there was nothing she could not overcome. And in that moment, the little alien girl who had knocked on 17 doors and faced rejection finally understood something profound. One act of courage and one act of kindness could ripple across the universe, changing lives in ways she could never have imagined. The 18th door had opened, and it had changed everything. Not just for Lyra and her mother, but for the entire village. And perhaps someday, the doors that had once been closed would open too, welcoming hope, friendship, and a brighter future for all.